A German shepherd, loyal beyond words, has always been by his owner's side. But now his body is failing, and he can no longer run or play as he once did. With each passing day, his strength fades. Still, there's a love and loyalty that won't let him go, a bond that refuses to break. In his final moments, he faces a decision that will test everything: sacrifice, devotion, and the last mission he must complete. This story will leave you in tears as you witness the most heart-wrenching moment of loyalty and love. Don't miss it. Emily stood in front of the tall mirror in her childhood bedroom, gazing at herself in the pure white wedding dress, perfect in every detail, just as she had imagined for years. The lace on the gown sparkled softly in the early morning light, making her feel like she was stepping into a dream. She gently ran her hand along the fabric, savoring the lightness and grace with each step she took. Everything felt perfect. Her fiancé, Michael, was downstairs with his family, the sounds of laughter and chatter echoing from the living room. Everything was going according to plan, from the flower decorations to the setup of the ceremony. Today was the big day, the day she would step into a new chapter of her life. But in the midst of this perfection, something weighed on her heart. Emily's eyes drifted over to Titan, the German shepherd she had raised since she was a young girl. Titan lay quietly at her feet, his bright eyes fixed on her, but not with the usual protective gaze she had grown so accustomed to. His body seemed to have changed. His legs trembled, his breathing was heavy, and his eyes were slightly cloudy, as though the vibrant life she had always seen in him was fading. She knelt down, gently stroking Titan's head, feeling the warm, familiar comfort of her beloved dog. She couldn't help but worry, seeing how much he had aged, no longer as spry as he once was. Those earlier days still lingered in her memory. The day she adopted Titan from the shelter, a mere 8-month-old pup, to this moment, where he had become an irreplaceable part of her life. She felt a deep connection with Titan through every stage of her journey. He had been there for her since high school, through the awkward transition into college, and during life's tough challenges. Those moments when she wasn't sure how she'd make it through. Titan had always been her loyal friend, the four-legged companion who never left her side, always there when she needed him most. But today, on this important day, as she was about to enter a new life, Titan's change made her worry. She could feel it deeply, the shift in him. And deep inside, the fear of losing her friend someday soon grew stronger. But Emily told herself she couldn't let her concerns about Titan's health steal her joy on her wedding day. She had planned this moment for 18 months, and she wanted it to be perfect. "This day is mine," Emily whispered to herself, smiling softly as she admired her reflection in the mirror. She wasn't going to let her worries about Titan cloud the happiness of this special day. Everything around her felt perfect. People would be arriving soon, friends and family, all there to witness the most important moment of her life. But no matter how hard she tried, thoughts of Titan kept creeping into her mind. She couldn't help but wonder if Titan would make it to this day. Could he be there with her, sharing in this beautiful moment? The sounds of laughter from downstairs, the bustling voices of her family, only made the weight in her heart heavier. But Emily refused to let it stop her. Despite her worry for Titan, she had to continue preparing for her wedding. Today was her day, the day she'd remember forever. As Emily stood up, ready to leave the room, she glanced back at Titan. The old dog had risen slowly, moving towards the door. His eyes never left her, watching with a quiet, unspoken understanding. A rush of love and sorrow flooded her heart. She bent down and kissed Titan's forehead, whispering softly, "Happy for you, Titan." I don't know what I'd do without you." With a heavy heart, but hope for the new day ahead, Emily walked out of the room. She made her way toward the ceremony, where a new chapter of her life would begin. But her heart couldn't stop thinking of Titan, the four-legged companion who had been by her side through it all. She paused for a moment, looking at the photos on the wall, vivid memories of family, friends, and the happy moments she had lived. But it was a particular memory with Titan that suddenly resurfaced, a moment from the past that felt like it happened just yesterday. It was a spring afternoon, and Emily, only 22, was full of youthful dreams, but also uncertain about life. She had just graduated from college and moved into a small apartment in a quiet town. Life wasn't without its challenges, but it was also filled with lonely moments. Each day she went to work, came home, and then went back to work, with no one by her side. One day, feeling overwhelmed by the solitude, Emily decided to visit the local animal shelter. She had heard there were many dogs there in need of a family. She entered with a mix of emotions, unsure if she could handle the responsibility of a dog, but with an undeniable urge to find a four-legged companion. She walked past row after row of cages, the dogs staring at her with empty eyes, their cries almost pleading for attention. But then, in a quiet corner of the shelter, she spotted him. Titan. At just 8 months old, he was a scrawny German shepherd with a mix of gray and black fur, his eyes wild with fear. Unlike the other dogs, he didn't rush forward, didn't bark or jump excitedly. He just sat there, staring at her with sadness and a deep sense of fear. Emily stopped in front of his cage, and their eyes met. In that moment, she knew. This was the dog she had to adopt. "Hello, Titan," she whispered. The name came to her so naturally, as if she had always known it. Titan didn't look away. Emily opened the cage, stepping inside slowly. Though Titan seemed hesitant, she could feel that what he needed most was patience and love. Reaching out, she gently offered her hand. Slowly, Emily bent down, letting Titan feel the warmth of her hand. After a few tense moments, Titan cautiously approached, his tongue out, tail wagging gently. That day, Emily didn't just adopt a dog. She adopted a friend, one who would walk with her through every chapter of her life. In the days that followed, Titan became her one true companion. The small dog was there for her in moments of loneliness, offering a friendship that never judged and never abandoned her. It felt different, as though her life now had a real, loyal friend. From that day on, Titan stayed by Emily's side through every struggle. During the stressful nights of studying for exams, when the world seemed too much, Titan would sit beside her, his eyes focused and calm, as though he understood every worry in her heart. In those moments, Emily could feel his silent encouragement, his unwavering patience, without him ever having to say a word. Then came the hardest times, losing loved ones, family arguments, broken relationships. Titan was always there, never leaving her side. There were moments when the loneliness felt unbearable, but every time Emily's heart faltered, she would look at Titan, who would gaze at her with tenderness, standing strong like he was silently saying, "Everything will be okay." When she felt like giving up, Titan would appear with his tail wagging happily, as if to remind her that the troubles would pass. He became the light guiding Emily through the darkest days, the hope that kept her going. But as time passed, things began to change. Titan wasn't the energetic puppy he once was, the dog that would run and chase after a ball in the park. He was growing older, his steps slowed, his body no longer as agile as before. And yet, despite these changes, the love Titan had for Emily never faded. Emily watched these changes with a heavy heart. The dog that had stood by her side through so much was now a weak, aging companion. She couldn't help but feel the ache of these changes. But she also knew that Titan's love and loyalty were undying. His body may have been weakening, but his heart remained as strong as ever. Every morning when Emily woke up, Titan would still be lying beside her bed, his eyes watching her as if to say, "Everything will be all right." And in those moments, Emily knew that no matter how life changed, Titan would always be by her side, her loyal friend, even in his old age. She smiled as she remembered the days gone by. That little German shepherd, now aging, was still a vital part of her life. He had taught her about unconditional love, loyalty, and the beauty of always being together, no matter how tough life got. And even though she was now facing the worry of Titan's health, she knew that the bond they shared would never change. Looking at Titan lying beside her, breathing steadily, Emily felt an unusual peace. She knew that no matter what, she and Titan would always be companions in this life. Titan had always been more than just a dog to Emily. He was her protector, her companion, the one who understood her without needing words. Through all the ups and downs, through every lonely night and uncertain moment, Titan had been there, always by her side. But now, on the day that should have been filled with nothing but joy, something wasn't right. Her wedding day was finally here. Everything had been planned to perfection. The laughter of her family echoed through the house as they made their way to the church. The bridesmaids, groomsmen, and loved ones were all excited, preparing for the photo shoot that would capture the start of Emily's new chapter with Michael, the man she loved and trusted completely. She had dreamed of this day for 18 months, and now that it was finally happening, her heart should have been light. But there, lingering in the back of her mind, was the worry about Titan. The car ride to St. Patrick's Church, an old, beautiful building in the heart of town, was filled with laughter and excitement. The atmosphere was light, filled with the buzz of a perfect day ahead. Emily's heart raced as she thought about the moment she would walk into her new life with Michael. But beneath it all, there was an undeniable unease, a feeling she couldn't shake, no matter how much she tried to focus on the joy of the day. When they arrived, the bridesmaids began to arrange themselves for the wedding photos. Emily stepped out of the car, her eyes lighting up as she gazed at the magnificent church. But as she walked into the courtyard, the perfect day took an unexpected turn. Titan, despite being entrusted to a family member for the journey, suddenly appeared and stopped right in front of her. The dog didn't bark or show any sign of aggression. He simply stood there, his legs stiff, his eyes locked onto hers with an unwavering determination. Titan didn't move. Not a muscle twitched, as if he was trying to stop her from going any further. Emily froze. A wave of worry washed over her. She looked at Titan, his gaze so intense, so full of something she couldn't quite understand. Titan had always been a happy, energetic dog, full of life, always eager to play. But today, something was off. She could feel it in every glance, every still movement of the dog. She slowly approached him, gently calling his name. But Titan didn't budge. "Titan, come here," she whispered, but he remained motionless, his eyes still fixed on her, almost as if he was trying to tell her something. The unease deepened within her. She stroked his fur gently, trying to see if there was any sign of pain, but Titan just stood there, unresponsive. His legs were shaky, and she could feel his once boundless energy slipping away, replaced by something quieter, something darker. "Titan, what's wrong?" Emily whispered, her voice shaking. Her hands gently caressed the dog's fur, her heart pounding. But Titan didn't move, didn't react. His eyes seemed to peer into her soul, as if he knew something she didn't, something she couldn't understand. The fear swelled within her, and she felt the panic rise, just like a cold wave crashing over her. "Don't go! Don't leave me!" his gaze seemed to say. In that moment, Emily knew something wasn't right. She could feel it deep in her bones. She couldn't go forward with her wedding, not while Titan was like this. She quickly turned around, seeking help from her family and friends. But in her heart, she knew what had to be done. She couldn't ignore her loyal companion's distress. Fumbling with her phone, her hands trembling, she dialed the vet. "Doctor, I need help. Titan. He's not moving, and he seems so tired. I don't know if he's okay." Her voice wavered, and her heart raced with fear. The vet answered quickly, his voice calm. "All right, I'll be there soon. Stay where you are. Don't let Titan move too much." Emily hung up, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the tension in every breath. She stood frozen, staring at Titan. His eyes were filled with concern, but there was no sign of anger or discomfort. He was simply trying to protect her, just as he always had through the years. But that only left Emily more confused, more uncertain than ever before. Turning to Michael, who was standing behind her, ready for the photo session, she said urgently, "Michael, we need to stop. Titan's not okay. I have to call the vet." Michael looked at her with a deep frown, but he immediately understood that the wedding didn't matter right now. Titan's health did. "Are you okay? What do we do now?" "Can you help me? I can't do this alone." Emily's voice cracked as she took his hand, feeling the weight of her worry grow heavier by the second. "Of course, I'll go with you. Together, we'll take care of Titan." Michael's voice was soothing, his hand resting gently on her shoulder, offering the comfort she desperately needed. They quickly placed Titan in the car, and Emily realized that, as important as the wedding was, nothing mattered more than Titan's well-being. The worry about her dog became unavoidable, and once again, Emily had to face a difficult decision. Michael sat beside her, his hand gripping hers tightly as they drove. The car moved along the empty road, its engine humming softly, almost mournfully. Emily stared out the window, her eyes blurry from unshed tears. The worry grew with each passing mile, a wave she couldn't seem to control. For the first time in her life, Emily understood that life doesn't always go according to plan. She had spent months preparing for the perfect wedding, but now all she could think about was Titan, the one friend she loved most. When they arrived at the veterinary clinic, Dr. Peterson was already waiting. He was the vet Emily had trusted for years, and now he was the one who would give her the real answer about Titan's condition. As the door to the clinic opened, Emily felt a cold gust of air rush out. It was as though she was stepping into a space of stillness, where only Titan's breath and her own could be heard. Dr. Peterson greeted them with a nod, his eyes reflecting his concern. "Sarah, Michael," he said in a calm tone, "let's check on Titan." Emily nodded, her chest feeling like it was tightening. She sat down beside Titan, staring into his fading eyes. He no longer looked at her the same way, but there was still that gentle, loving gaze. Emily gently stroked his fur, feeling the warmth left in him despite his weakened health. The vet began to explain Titan's condition. "Titan is in the early stages of heart failure. This condition develops slowly, but given Titan's age, it's progressed rapidly." Dr. Peterson paused, looking at Emily and Michael with a shared understanding. "Titan's feeling right now is likely that his heart is no longer strong enough to support his body. Sometimes this condition causes them to feel exhausted, have trouble breathing, and deteriorate quickly," Dr. Peterson explained. Emily felt like her heart was being squeezed. She looked at Titan, unable to imagine him enduring this. "Is there any way to help Titan recover, doctor?" Her voice cracked, her hands clutching the soft fur of Titan as if she couldn't let go. Dr. Peterson gently shook his head. There's no way to cure it fully, Emily, but we can start treatment to make Titan more comfortable in his remaining time. The medication will help manage the symptoms, but given the current situation, I think Titan only has a few months left. Each word from the vet was like a crushing blow. Emily felt as if the world around her was starting to crumble. Today was supposed to be the day she stepped into marriage, but now she was facing an unbearable truth. Her loyal friend was nearing the end. At that moment, Michael looked into Emily's eyes, understanding the deep concern and love she had for Titan. He squeezed her hand, feeling the weight of her heartache. "We'll be with Titan, Emily. We'll care for him in his final days," Michael said with certainty, yet his voice held deep empathy. Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I can't let Titan go alone, Michael. I can't leave him. He's always been there for me, my only true friend. How can I leave today?" Michael tightened his grip on her hand. "You don't have to do this alone. We'll get through this together. The wedding can wait, but Titan needs us right now. That's what matters most." Emily sighed, feeling like everything around her suddenly lost its meaning. But Michael's words brought her some comfort. They couldn't let their wedding be a reason to abandon Titan. Together they made the decision. Despite all the planning, nothing was more important than being there for Titan. With the decision made, Emily felt an unexpected sense of peace in her heart. "We'll postpone the wedding. Today we'll be with Titan. We'll care for him in his remaining moments." After leaving the vet clinic, Emily and Michael headed back to the church. But instead of continuing the wedding celebration, they chose to return to Titan. The wedding would be postponed, and they would do everything they could to be with their beloved dog, giving Titan the love and loyalty he had shown them for 13 years. Emily knew that, in this moment, what mattered most wasn't the wedding. It was being with those she loved, including Titan. Though the day wasn't going as planned, it became a lesson in love and sacrifice, a lesson that she and Michael would remember forever. Postponing the wedding and holding it at the vet clinic was a difficult choice, but when Emily looked at Titan, she knew it was the right one. Titan wasn't just a dog. He was a part of her life, a loyal friend who had been by her side through everything, and when Titan needed her most, she would never let him go. Emily looked at Michael, her hand tightly gripping his, and together they made their way to the clinic. Each step felt heavy, but Emily could feel Michael's unwavering support. They both knew, though there was no grand wedding or official vows spoken in front of everyone, it was Titan's love and loyalty that deserved to be celebrated in this moment. The vet clinic was quieter than usual. The sterile smell of antiseptics and medical tools hung thick in the air, making the atmosphere feel heavy. But for Emily and Michael, this place was now more memorable than any grand venue. Everything was off script, but Titan's presence made this space meaningful in a way no wedding could ever be. The ceremony was held right in the vet clinic, with close family, friends, and the veterinary staff all in attendance. Everyone understood Emily and Michael's decision and respected it. This wasn't a perfect wedding by any outward measure, but it was filled with love, compassion, and loyalty. Titan, wearing a small bow tie around his neck, lay beside Emily and Michael, wagging his tail gently despite his weakened condition. There was no blaring music, no grand wedding cake, no sparkling lights. But the vows, simple as they were, carried a deeper meaning. Emily looked into Michael's eyes, feeling the boundless love they shared, and beside them, Titan remained their loyal companion, never leaving their side. Throughout the ceremony, Titan stayed close to Emily. He lay beside her, his eyes soft and sad, yet still determined, filled with love. Despite his frail body, Titan held on to the love and loyalty he'd shown Emily for all these years. Emily felt it more than ever before. She sat down beside Titan, stroking his fur, and her heart swelled with emotion. "Thank you, Titan," Emily whispered. "Thank you for always being here, for never leaving me. I love you so much." Though the wedding wasn't what she had once imagined, Emily now understood that a wedding wasn't just about the union of two people. It was a celebration of unconditional love. And that love was most clearly shown through Titan, the four-legged friend who had always been loyal and protective. Michael looked at Emily, then down at Titan. He reached out and gently patted Titan's head, as if to say thank you, to honor the love Titan had given to Emily and their family. He smiled softly and said, "Today may not be the perfect wedding, but this is our wedding. You, me, and Titan. And there will be so many more years ahead, together, building our life as a real family." Emily felt a sense of lightness in her heart, even though everything still felt new and imperfect. But she knew that Titan's love and loyalty would always be the strongest source of comfort. It wasn't the ceremonies or loud celebrations that made happiness. It was the real love between companions, the sharing and silent sacrifices. The ceremony ended in warmth and love. Everyone returned to the church where the wedding would be postponed, but the feeling of the day lingered in Emily and Michael's hearts. Nothing could replace this moment, the moment when they truly understood that love doesn't need to be perfect by society's standards. Love is when you always have each other during the most important times. And that evening, as Emily and Michael sat together with Titan beside them, sharing simple meals and laughing, Emily realized that this was what family truly was. She understood that sometimes, when things don't go as planned, they lead to the most profound lessons and priceless moments. What wasn't perfect ended up being the most meaningful, like this moment. No grand wedding, no crowd of well-wishers, just her, Michael, and Titan, all together in the quiet of love and loyalty. Titan lay quietly next to them, his eyes not as sharp or lively as before. His body had weakened considerably, each breath heavier and more labored. But despite all this, the love Titan had for Emily never wavered. He still lay there beside her, with a patience and unconditional love that only a loyal friend like Titan could provide. Emily gently stroked his fur, feeling the warmth from his body. That warmth was comforting, grounding her, but it also stirred a deep worry in her heart about how little time she had left with him. She looked into Titan's eyes. Those eyes she had seen for the past 13 years, eyes that not only reflected boundless love, but also a quiet strength. But today, in those eyes, she saw something else, a weariness. Titan was no longer the playful, energetic dog he once was. The sadness in his gaze spoke of the understanding that his time was running out. Though he said nothing, Emily felt that change deeply. She knew that her dog was slowly entering the final days of his life. Despite the worry that filled her heart, Emily couldn't shake the overwhelming peace that settled over her as she sat beside Titan. The warmth from his body still brought her comfort, as if everything would be okay, even though the reality was changing with each passing day. Titan may not have been as strong as before, but his love and loyalty remained as steadfast as ever. He stayed beside her, never leaving, just like the first day they met. Emily couldn't help but reflect on the moments she had shared with Titan. She remembered the first day they met, when Titan was just a small dog, lost and afraid in a corner of the shelter. His eyes were cautious, filled with fear. Back then, Emily never imagined that this dog would become such an important part of her life. But when their eyes met, she knew. Titan was the companion she needed. He came into her life and helped her through times when she felt like she didn't have the strength to go on. She remembered the first time she brought Titan home. Despite his fear and mistrust of humans, the moment he stepped into his new home, he began to sense safety. Emily hadn't realized then that In one afternoon, this small dog would change her life forever. From that moment, Titan became her loyal friend, her constant companion. In the days that followed, Titan was a comfort in every hardship. She recalled the stressful exam periods, the sleepless nights studying. Titan always sat beside her, his loving eyes watching her, as if shielding her from the worries and stress. In those moments, she never felt alone. Titan was always there, silently, without needing to say a word. But life wasn't always that simple. She remembered the day she met Titan, the day everything changed. It was on that day that Emily walked into the animal shelter, seeking a companion. She had just moved to the city after graduating from college, and she felt an overwhelming loneliness in this unfamiliar place. Everything felt strange, the new job, the empty apartment. Emily didn't want to face this loneliness alone, so she decided to adopt a dog. When she entered the shelter, she didn't know who she would choose. But then her gaze fell on a small dog in the far corner, and everything else seemed to fade away. Titan, an 8-month-old German shepherd, was sitting alone in the shadows, his eyes full of fear as he looked at her. Unlike the other dogs, who barked and jumped around, Titan stayed still, watching her from a distance, as though afraid of any approach. Emily stood there, unsure if she should get closer, but she couldn't take her eyes off him. She could tell Titan was terrified, possibly hurt in the past, and that look tugged at her heart. Emily didn't know why, but she felt a deep connection to Titan, something she had never felt before. This dog was different from the others. He wasn't playful, he wasn't seeking attention or affection. He just wanted peace, and maybe he wanted to be loved genuinely. Slowly she knelt down, extending her hand towards Titan, careful not to frighten him more. She softly called his name. "Hello, Titan." Her voice was gentle, hoping to calm him. And then something extraordinary happened. Titan looked into her eyes. His gaze was still filled with fear, but this time he seemed less afraid. He slowly moved closer, his legs shaking. But then he started to sniff Emily's hand, as though searching for acceptance. A wave of emotion flooded over Emily. She could feel Titan's fear, but she also felt something stronger, a unique bond between her and this dog. Though Titan was still scared and lacked trust in people, the moment their eyes met, Emily knew. Titan was the friend she had been looking for. "I'll take care of you," Emily whispered, filled with determination and love. In that moment, Titan seemed to understand. He sat down beside her, his head nearly touching her hand. Right then, Emily made the decision to adopt Titan. She wasn't sure if she would be a good enough owner, but she knew she couldn't leave this dog behind. Titan needed her, and she needed Titan. The feeling was strange but strong, and it felt right. Emily brought Titan home, stepping into a new life with this dog by her side. The first days with Titan weren't easy. The little dog was still frightened by everything around him. He wouldn't eat when anyone was watching, and he kept avoiding any attempts to approach him. But Emily was patient. She knew Titan needed time to trust humans again. Slowly, Titan began to realize that Emily wasn't going to hurt him. He started to adjust to the new routines, and with each passing day, Emily's love for him grew stronger. Titan's love and loyalty towards Emily helped her through many challenges in life. Though he couldn't speak, in moments of fatigue or failure, a wag of his tail or a loving look was enough to remind her that she could keep going. No one could replace this friendship, and Emily knew she would never abandon Titan. During those days, as Emily and Titan faced every challenge together, she never felt alone. Titan was her loyal friend, her silent protector, always by her side in every important moment. Nothing gave her more peace than knowing Titan was there, especially during the times she felt exhausted, frustrated, or even just lonely. Every time she looked down, even on her worst days, Titan always looked up at her with loving eyes, eyes that never changed, no matter how much time passed. She remembered the long nights when everything around her was still, the only light coming from the soft glow of her desk lamp. Emily often stayed up late, studying, sometimes preparing for stressful exams. On nights like those, when exhaustion weighed her down, when her eyes were heavy with sleep and her mind too tired to focus, Titan was always there. He didn't need to say anything or do anything. He just lay beside her, silently. And with Titan's presence, Emily felt the strength to keep going. Every time she looked down and saw Titan lying there, his eyes shining with unconditional care, she found the will to keep fighting her own fatigue. Titan wasn't just a companion. He was an unspoken source of encouragement when she felt at her lowest. There were moments when she felt like a failure, when it seemed like all her efforts amounted to nothing. No matter how hard she tried, nothing seemed to change. But in those moments, Titan was always there. No words of advice, just the warm presence of a dog who knew how to comfort her without saying a word. Titan had become her most reliable friend, the one who never abandoned her, no matter how tough things got. It was Titan's sacrifices that made Emily realize that true friendship isn't about words. It's about presence and unwavering loyalty. In those moments when everything felt overwhelming, when she wasn't sure if she could keep going, Titan was always there. She could feel the patience and absolute loyalty in him. That dog never left her side, even in the times when she felt like she didn't have the strength to stand. Every step Titan took was a sacrifice, not just for himself, but for Emily. Though he was a dog, Titan didn't speak, but his actions spoke volumes. He was always there, by her side during her hardest moments. The only encouragement Titan needed to offer was his presence, sitting quietly beside her without needing to do anything else. It was through Titan's sacrifice and unconditional love that Emily learned some of the most important lessons in life. She realized that true friendship doesn't always require exchange or promises. It's about presence and being there for each other when it's needed the most. Titan never demanded anything. He just wanted to be by her side. And that was the purest form of friendship, the greatest sacrifice. Even though everything had changed, even as Titan grew older and weaker, his love for Emily never wavered. He remained her silent protector, her loyal companion, someone she knew would never abandon her. And even though the changes in Titan were more obvious than ever, Emily knew in her heart that the love Titan had for her remained unchanged, and nothing could ever dull it. When she first adopted Titan, he was a healthy, energetic, and lively German shepherd. Every morning, Titan was the first to wake up, wagging his tail and jumping onto Emily's bed, as if he couldn't wait to start the day. Each step he took was full of life, his legs strong as though they could run forever. She clearly remembered the mornings when they would run together in the park, Titan always outpacing her, his eyes bright and his fur flying in the wind. Those were the days when Emily felt that Titan was an irreplaceable part of her life, the four-legged friend who helped her overcome every challenge life threw her way. But time doesn't stand still. The moment Titan's steps began to change, Emily felt the shift immediately. His movements weren't as quick as before. His legs started to show signs of fatigue. She remembered the first time she noticed it. One morning, as they went for their usual walk, Titan didn't jump up excitedly when he heard her call. Instead, he moved slowly, his front legs trembling slightly with each step. Emily felt a wave of worry wash over her, but she tried not to let her anxiety show. Still, deep down, a sense of unease began to grow. This wasn't just a passing change. Over the following months, Emily noticed the gradual decline in Titan's energy. He wasn't as quick to run, and even long walks left him exhausted. Each time he stood up from his bed, his back legs wobbled as if fighting against a weight he couldn't bear. The times Titan struggled to recover after even a short walk made Emily's heart tighten. She looked into Titan's eyes, and though he said nothing, she could see the concern in his gaze. It was as if Titan understood that his body was slowly failing him, but he still tried his best to follow her. She remembered the weekends before Titan started to weaken, the days when they would walk together in the park, laughing and enjoying their time. But now, even short walks had become a challenge for him. Titan walked slowly, needing to stop and rest more frequently. Each time, Emily felt a quiet pain in her chest. Although she had grown accustomed to Titan's presence and knew that their love for each other would never change, she couldn't shake the feeling of worry about how much time they had left together. Even though Titan wasn't as strong as he once was, his love and loyalty to Emily never wavered. He was still there whenever she needed him. On the days when she felt exhausted or down, Titan didn't need to say a word. He would simply sit beside her, quietly watching, and that was enough to comfort her. Emily realized that the love Titan had for her was still as strong as it had been on the first day they met. Nothing could change that. Though her dog was no longer the powerful, energetic Titan he once was, his loyalty remained unshaken. As she looked into Titan's eyes, Emily understood that no matter what changes life brought, this love would never fade. The worry about his health was always there, but she knew that Titan would never leave her. Every time Titan tried to stand up, his tired legs refusing to give up, she felt his strength in each movement, each breath. This loving dog, though no longer as quick, still persevered beside her, a faithful friend who would never give up. Every time Emily hugged Titan, she felt like everything would be okay. Even though they were facing changes in his body and health, the love they shared would remain eternal. Emily knew that Titan had become an irreplaceable part of her life, and no matter how time passed, the bond between them would never change. But in this moment, as she looked into Titan's tired eyes, Emily couldn't stop the rising worry in her heart. Titan lay quietly on the rug beside Emily and Michael, his breathing now weaker than ever. Though he didn't have the strength to stand, he was still beside her, like the loyal friend he had always been. His labored breaths felt like silent goodbyes, each breath a farewell that Emily wasn't ready to hear. The room was still, only the sound of Titan's breath and the beating of Emily's heart filling the space with worry. Michael sat beside her, his eyes red-rimmed, silent, but his concern and love for Emily and Titan were clear in the way he looked at them. Together, they sat in the stillness, not wanting to break the quiet as they shared this painful moment, knowing the inevitable was drawing closer. Emily gently stroked Titan's head, feeling the warmth of his body, though it was no longer as strong as before. The years had passed, and now, with time running short, Emily looked at Titan, unable to stop herself from remembering all the beautiful moments they had shared. She thought back to the first day they met, when Titan was small, fearful, and didn't trust humans. But Emily didn't turn away from him. She helped him trust her, and from that moment on, they embarked on a long journey together, never separated. The days with Titan passed like a book she never wanted to put down. The times Titan lay beside her when she was sad, the late nights she stayed up studying, or the bright mornings when they ran together in the park. Titan was always there, her loyal friend. Every time she looked at Titan, Emily felt the unconditional love he had for her. No matter how the world changed, no matter how many challenges she faced, Titan was the one friend who would never leave her. But now, as she looked into his tired eyes, Emily knew the moments with Titan were slipping away. She felt the resilience in his gaze, as if he was trying to hold on just a little longer, to stay by her side for a little while more. This beloved dog no longer had the strength to run or protect her like before, but Titan's determination and loyalty remained unchanged. Emily gently bent down, resting her cheek against Titan's head. She whispered, "I love you, Titan. Thank you for everything. You've been an irreplaceable part of my life." Tears began to fall, but she couldn't stop holding Titan tighter. This little dog had made her feel safe, had made her feel that she would never be alone. Michael looked at Emily and Titan, his hands tightly clasped together, unable to hold back his emotions. "I love you too, Titan," Michael whispered. "Thank you for always being by our side." He reached out, gently stroking Titan's fur, as if to thank him, as a quiet goodbye. Despite the difficulty, both of them understood that the love Titan had given them would never change. The three of them sat there in the stillness, but their hearts were anything but at peace. They knew that time was running out, but in this moment, the calm that Titan brought still lingered. Emily and Michael understood that while this friendship was coming to an end, the love they had for Titan would remain forever. In the quiet room, only Titan's weak breaths and the silent tears falling from Emily's eyes filled the air. Every time she looked at Titan, she felt the resilience in his tired eyes, as if he wanted to say goodbye, but couldn't find the words. Emily held Titan's paw tightly, gently embracing him, feeling the last warmth from his slowly weakening body. "Thank you, Titan," she whispered, her voice choking with emotion. "Thank you for always being with me, for everything you've done for me. You're the best friend I've ever had." She felt the deep pain in her heart, but there was also an unusual peace knowing that Titan had lived a life full of love and loyalty. Her hands gently caressed his fur one last time, each movement like preserving an eternal moment in her mind. Michael sat beside Emily, his eyes red with tears, unable to suppress the grief as he looked at Titan lying in Emily's arms. He reached out, gently patting Titan's back, as a way of showing gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of the love Titan had given to Emily, to their family. "Thank you, Titan," Michael whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You've always been the loyal friend, an irreplaceable part of our family. We love you so much." Those words felt like a farewell, but also a deep, heartfelt thank you. Michael understood that nothing could replace the love and sacrifice Titan had given them. These moments were the most heartbreaking and moving of their lives. When they looked at Titan, they didn't just see a dog. They saw a friend who had walked with them through countless hardships, challenges, and had remained steadfastly loyal by their side at every step of their journey. And now they were faced with the unavoidable parting that had come too soon. Emily and Michael sat quietly, the weight of the moment pressing down on them, knowing that this was the end of an era, the end of the most profound friendship they had ever known. Emily and Michael both felt the immense emptiness Titan's departure would leave in their hearts. This loss was beyond words, but they also knew that the love Titan had given them would never fade. This dog had not just been a part of their family. He was a symbol of unconditional love, sacrifice, and loyalty that no one could ever replace. Emily held Titan close one last time, wanting to keep those beautiful memories locked in her heart forever. "I love you," she whispered, her eyes filled with tears. "You're the best friend I could ever have, and I'll never forget the days you spent with me." She looked into Titan's eyes, though they were now fading, but in them she could still see the love, the resilience, and the loyalty that nothing could ever break. The pain Emily and Michael felt was inevitable, but they also realized that the love Titan had left behind would live on in them, like an eternal flame that would never die. Titan had taught them about unconditional love, about sacrifice without expecting anything in return, and about the value of absolute loyalty. They knew that even without Titan by their side, the lessons he had given them would stay with them for the rest of their lives. And when Titan took his last breath, Emily and Michael said nothing. They simply held on to the moment of silence, knowing that the love of that dog would forever be in their hearts, a memory they would never forget. All that was left was Titan's presence, his tired but strong eyes, and the stillness that enveloped them. Emily felt that sacrifice more deeply than ever before, as if Titan was offering a quiet, loving goodbye that would stay with them forever. Though Titan's body had grown frail, though his steps had slowed, his legs no longer steady, with every weak breath, Titan still remained there beside Emily and Michael. He had not left them, still watching them with eyes full of love, with an unwavering loyalty that no one could replace. Titan's final days were filled not just with the pain of the disease he endured, but also with the clearest expression of his sacrifice. He asked for nothing but love and care, never complaining, never shedding a tear, just the unconditional love he had always shown to Emily and Michael throughout the years. Emily felt that sacrifice in every breath Titan took, in every slow step, and in every patient glance he gave her. "I love you," Emily whispered, her eyes following Titan. "Thank you, Titan. Thank you for always being by my side, for always being the most loyal friend." She knew, even though Titan's condition had deteriorated, the love he had for her and Michael remained unshaken, steadfast. Both Emily and Michael felt the emptiness that Titan's departure left in their hearts. This sense of loss was indescribable, but they also knew that the love Titan had given them would never fade. Titan wasn't just a dog. He was a part of their family, a symbol of unconditional love, sacrifice, and loyalty that no one could ever replace. Emily hugged Titan tightly once more, wanting to hold on to all the beautiful memories in her heart. "I love you," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "You've been the best friend I could ever have, and I'll never forget the days you spent with me." She looked into Titan's eyes. Though they were fading, she could still see the love, the strength, and the loyalty that nothing could break. Michael, sitting beside Emily, placed his hand gently on Titan's back. "Thank you, Titan," Michael whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "You've been an amazing friend, not just a dog, but a loyal companion through every step of our journey." He looked at Emily, then back at Titan. Nothing mattered anymore. There was no wedding, no plans left to fulfill as they had hoped, only the love and sacrifice that Titan had given them. Both Emily and Michael knew that Titan's love would never fade, even in parting. They could feel that unconditional love in every moment they spent with him, in the times when Titan was simply there, not saying a word, just being the loyal friend and protector he had always been. At this moment, as they said their goodbyes, Emily and Michael realized that love isn't just spoken through words, it's shown through simple yet meaningful actions. The love Titan had for them was a testament to the loyalty, sacrifice, and resilience he had shown throughout his life. Even though his body had weakened, Titan's loyalty and love would forever live in their hearts. The feeling of loss was a pain that words couldn't fully express, but deep down, they understood that Titan had lived a life full of pride. He wasn't just a dog. He was family, a part of their lives, a loyal friend who never left their side. Even now, as they faced the absence of Titan, the love he had given them would never fade. Emily couldn't stop thinking about everything Titan had brought into her life. The sweet memories, the moments of joy and sorrow, were now irreplaceable parts of her story. She remembered the times Titan ran in the yard, chasing a ball, tail wagging with excitement. She remembered the late nights studying, the days when she felt overwhelmed with work, the days when she was tired and lonely. And always, Titan was there beside her, never leaving. Each wag of his tail, each loving lick on her hand, eased the pain in Emily's heart. She and Michael looked at the spot where Titan now lay, where he used to rest when he was healthy, when they were happy together. They knew that the love Titan had given them couldn't be replaced by anything. Titan had taught them that love isn't easy. It's the sacrifice, the unconditional presence in the important moments. He had taught them about patience, loyalty, and how to love without ever expecting anything in return. Michael sat beside Emily, his hand tightly clasping hers, the weight of the grief still lingering. But he too understood that even though they were facing the pain of loss, they still had each other. "Thank you, Titan," Michael whispered, his voice breaking. "You were such an important part of our family." He closed his eyes, letting silent tears fall, not wanting to break the stillness of the moment. The feeling of loss was impossible to put into words, but deep within, Michael knew they would carry Titan's love in their hearts forever. Emily looked down at Titan one last time, her eyes filled with emotion. "I love you so much, Titan. Thank you for always being with me, for protecting me through all the storms." She kissed Titan's forehead, then gently placed her hand on his chest, feeling his last moments. "You taught me about unconditional love, about loyalty and sacrifice without expecting anything in return." Those words, though a farewell, were also a deep thank you to the dog who had been with her through all the years. Time passed, and the silence in the room grew heavier than ever. Emily and Michael knew they would never forget Titan. This dog had not only been a companion, but also a teacher, a model of love and loyalty. Though he was no longer with them, the love Titan left behind would always be the driving force to help them face the challenges in life. They both stood up, filled with emotion and gratitude. Michael embraced Emily, whispering in her ear, "We will always remember Titan, and we'll live the way Titan taught us." Emily nodded, feeling the strength in Michael's words. Together they shared a quiet moment, remembering the beautiful days spent with Titan. Though they had to say goodbye to Titan, his love would forever live in their hearts, and that love would be a constant source of strength in the days to come. Titan had taught them that love isn't just about words or easy actions, it's about presence, loyalty, and sacrifice, with no expectation of anything in return. After losing Titan, Emily and Michael began to realize that, though their beloved dog was no longer by their side, the priceless values he had imparted to them would stay with them for the rest of their lives. It wasn't just the connection they had with Titan, but a deeper connection to themselves, to life, and to the people they loved. They understood that Titan's unconditional love was the greatest gift life had ever given them. Life didn't feel complete without Titan beside them. They continued their daily routines, still faced with joys and challenges, but without Titan, everything felt like it was missing a piece. Mornings were no longer filled with the sound of their run together in the park. Evenings didn't have the pitter-patter of Titan's paws around the house, and there were no more wagging tails to greet them after a long day. Yet, even though Titan wasn't there in body, they still felt his presence in every moment of their lives. Michael sat beside Emily, his hand gripping hers tightly, his eyes filled with emotion. "Do you remember? The days we'd run with Titan in the park? Those days when I felt exhausted, stressed, but just seeing Titan made everything feel lighter," Michael said, his voice dropping, filled with nostalgia. Emily nodded, tears silently falling. I remember it all so clearly. Every time we faced hardship, big or small, as long as Titan was by my side, it felt like nothing was impossible to overcome. Titan was always our greatest source of strength. The feeling of loss still lingered heavily in their hearts, but they began to understand that it was Titan's love and sacrifice that had made them stronger. They learned that love can't always be expressed in words. Sometimes it's in the quiet actions, the presence in the crucial moments when no one else is there. Even as a dog, Titan had taught them a powerful lesson about sacrifice and loyalty. Titan never asked anything of Emily and Michael. Every day, every step he took was a demonstration of unconditional sacrifice, expecting nothing in return. He was always there, without a word, but his presence had inspired the entire family. Looking back on the years they had shared, Emily realized that Titan's love was the greatest miracle she had ever received. She no longer saw Titan simply as a dog, but as a friend, a protector, a family member, someone who had been there through everything. And though they had to say goodbye, she knew the bond they shared with Titan would live on forever in their hearts. And that love would never fade. During Titan's last days, as his body grew frail, Emily could still feel the strength within him. Even in his final moments, Titan remained steadfast by her side, like an irreplaceable friend. After Titan's passing, Emily and Michael gradually learned how to live in a new way. They began to reflect on what truly mattered in life. Titan had taught them that even in losing something so significant, love and loyalty are values that never truly disappear. They both understood that, although Titan was no longer physically with them, they could continue to live on with the lessons he had taught them. The emptiness of Titan's absence in their everyday moments made life feel quieter. They no longer woke up to the sound of his tail wagging to greet the day, nor did they have those evening walks in the park with their dog. But they felt that the love Titan left behind would always stay with them, a guiding presence through the rest of their lives. They began to understand that love doesn't need to be perfect. It's about understanding and accepting one another. The time spent with Titan had taught them that true love is loving each other through the changes, through the passing of time. And that love would never fade. It would always live on in their hearts, just as Titan had lived in their hearts for so many years. Emily and Michael continued to remember Titan, but they also realized that the lessons of love and sacrifice he had taught them would always be their compass in life. The unconditional love Titan had given them would remain a source of great strength in the days ahead. Losing a loyal friend like Titan had completely changed their lives, but it was also a chance to re-examine what truly mattered. After Titan's passing, Emily and Michael faced a reality they had never prepared for: life without Titan's presence. Their home, once filled with the energy and joy Titan brought, now felt empty. They felt the void in every corner of the house, in every space where Titan had once been. The absence of Titan wasn't just the loss of a dog, it was the loss of a family member. Every morning when Emily woke up, she no longer heard the sound of his tail wagging, no longer saw him running to the door as he did every morning. The evening walks in the park, where Titan used to run joyfully, were now quiet and empty. It felt as if something irreplaceable was missing. The feeling became even more pronounced during quiet moments when Emily and Michael sat in the living room, without the sound of Titan running around, just the rhythm of their breathing and conversations without the dog by their side. And in that silence, Emily and Michael realized something important. They realized that the love Titan had given them wasn't something easily found in everyday life. It wasn't sweet words or warm gestures given only when it benefited someone. It was sacrifice without expectation, protection without condition. Titan had always been there, through every change in their lives, through all the hardships and challenges. Titan had remained steadfast by their side. That was real love. A love that asked for nothing but presence and care. The time they spent with Titan had taught them how to love, how to live for each other without expecting anything in return. The dog never asked for anything, simply being there, sharing every moment with them. Perfection, how to give without expecting anything in return, and how to endure even in the most difficult times. The lessons Titan taught Emily and Michael would stay with them forever, guiding them through every challenge life would throw their way. They began to see the world differently, their hearts filled with the wisdom Titan had imparted. They realized that love, true love, isn't always easy or convenient. Sometimes it's about showing up, even when things are hard, standing by each other when everything else is falling apart. It's about sacrifice, giving without keeping score, loving without asking for anything in return. As the days passed, Emily and Michael found themselves more open to life, more willing to embrace change and challenge because they knew the value of loyalty and unconditional love. The absence of Titan was still felt deeply, but they had learned that love didn't need to be physical to endure. It was in the heart, in the moments of silent presence, in the loyalty that didn't ask for anything in return. Titan had shown them that, and they would carry it with them forever. Emily thought back to the times she had felt overwhelmed, the days when she thought she couldn't go on. In those moments, Titan was always by her side, not speaking, not asking anything, just quietly lying next to her. It was in those moments that she truly understood what unconditional love meant. Titan had taught her that sometimes just being there for someone is the greatest gift you can give. Michael, too, reflected on the lessons Titan had taught him. He remembered the first time he met Titan, the small, scared dog who had been so unsure of the world. But it didn't take long before Titan became their protector, their loyal companion. Michael realized that Titan's loyalty didn't come with conditions. No matter how tough things got, no matter how many challenges they faced, Titan never left their side. In his quiet, steadfast way, Titan had shown Michael the true meaning of loyalty, of love that didn't ask for anything except to be there. The love Titan gave them was a love that couldn't be measured by anything ordinary. It was profound, deep, and filled with moments of quiet understanding. It was a love that had never asked for anything in return, but had given everything. And though Titan was no longer physically there, Emily and Michael knew that the love he had shared with them would never fade. It would always be a part of them, a source of strength and guidance for the rest of their lives. As they moved forward, they carried Titan's lessons in their hearts, lessons about love, sacrifice, loyalty, and the importance of showing up for each other. Though their beloved dog was gone, the impact of his love would live on forever, lighting their way in the days to come. They knew that nothing in this world could replace what Titan had given them, and that was a love worth holding on to, a love that would always be with them, no matter what the future held. With the lessons Titan had taught them, Emily and Michael not only reevaluated their relationship, but also their approach to life. They realized that love and loyalty are not easy to come by, but the lessons Titan left them would be the strength they needed to face any challenges life threw their way, no matter how difficult or dark the road might seem. They began to open their hearts to life again, not just focusing on what they had lost, but also on what they still had. They knew that, despite the challenges ahead, they would never forget the invaluable lessons about love Titan had gifted them, and that love would always be the guiding light in their lives. They understood that love wasn't something easily replaced. And even though Titan had passed, the spirit, the loyalty, and the unconditional love he had given would forever live in their hearts. After the period of sorrow, Emily and Michael began to feel the emptiness left by Titan. Every morning when they woke up, there was no tail wagging to greet them, no sound of Titan's paws running around the house, no loving gaze or gentle licks to say good morning. The void was palpable, but it was also a time for them to reflect on the true values in life. One day, while sitting together in the living room, Emily suddenly spoke, her voice choked but determined. "Do you think we could adopt a new dog?" Michael looked at her, his gaze a mixture of sadness and hope. He understood right away that Emily wanted to open her heart to a new companion, even though her heart still carried the sorrow of losing Titan. "I think we should try, but only when we're ready," Michael replied, his voice warm with understanding. "Titan can never be replaced, but we can continue his legacy of love and loyalty." This decision wasn't made lightly. Emily and Michael knew that, even with a new dog, Titan would always remain a part of their lives. But they also knew that love has no limits. Emily felt that bringing a new dog into their home wouldn't diminish the love they had for Titan. Instead, it would help them continue to spread that love, allowing the lessons of love and sacrifice that Titan had taught them to live on. They decided to visit the animal shelter that weekend. The shelter wasn't large, but it was filled with joyful barks and bright, hopeful eyes watching them. The dogs there all longed for a family, a place to belong. Yet none of them could ever replace Titan. As they entered the section for older dogs, one particular image immediately caught Emily and Michael's attention. Duke, an elderly golden retriever, lay quietly in a corner of the room. His eyes shone with a gentle calmness, but there was a subtle weariness about him, as though he had endured many struggles in life. Duke didn't bark or rush toward them like the other dogs. Instead, he raised his head and looked at them with deep eyes, as if he understood the pain they were carrying. "This is him," Emily whispered, her eyes lighting up as she looked at Duke. "He needs us." Michael looked at the elderly dog and nodded. "That's right. He'll be a new part of our family." He reached out to Duke, and in that moment, the old dog slowly got up, waddling over to him and resting his head on Michael's hand, as if to say, "Hello." Emily and Michael understood that this wasn't a replacement for Titan, but rather a continuation of the love Titan had taught them. Duke didn't need to do anything special for them to feel the bond. He simply needed to be there, as a new friend bringing comfort and fresh hope. The first days with Duke weren't easy, but the love they had for Titan helped them open their hearts to this new dog. Duke, though old and suffering from arthritis, had a gentle and sweet soul. They quickly realized that Duke needed them just as Titan had. While he couldn't replace Titan, Duke slowly began to bring new moments of brightness into their lives. The walks in the afternoons, the quiet moments together, everything began to find a new rhythm. A month later, as Duke became fully settled into his new home, Emily and Michael could feel the love from this dog slowly healing the wounds in their hearts. They hadn't forgotten Titan, but they understood that love has no limits. The first time Duke entered their house, the atmosphere completely shifted. The elderly golden retriever moved slowly, his legs a bit weak and careful, as if he were exploring every corner of the new home. Every step was taken with caution, but his eyes shone with gentleness, as if waiting for a warm welcome from his new family. Emily sat on the sofa, looking at Duke, her heart swelling with emotions she couldn't put into words. She noticed a similarity between Duke and Titan, especially in the eyes. Both Titan and Duke had that bright, loving gaze full of loyalty. Although nothing could replace Titan, Emily realized that Duke had a quiet presence and a peaceful energy that they needed in this moment. Michael stood up, walked over to Duke, and gently patted his head. "Welcome home, Duke," he said warmly. Duke looked up at him, his eyes full of gratitude, as though he understood that this was his home now, a place where he would be loved and cared for. Despite his age and his slower movements, Duke still carried within him a quiet vitality, full of comfort. Duke began to move around the house, each step slow but steady. He paused by the window, gazing outside as if getting to know the new world beyond. The first days weren't easy, as Duke hadn't fully adjusted to his new environment. He moved carefully, sometimes appearing confused by the stairs or unfamiliar objects in the house. But Emily and Michael's patience and kindness helped him feel more comfortable day by day. They made sure to talk to him, helping him get used to everything around him, and gradually they felt their bond with Duke growing stronger. Emily realized that although Duke couldn't replace Titan, he was his own unique being with his own traits, personality, and needs. He wasn't in a hurry, unlike Titan, who had been quick and energetic, but Duke offered a gentle presence and the listening ear they needed during this time. Every time Duke lay down beside them, Emily felt comforted, and the pain of their loss began to ease. While she still remembered Titan, she understood that the love Duke brought was also a healing, a chance to keep moving forward in the journey of love. These early moments, when they first welcomed Duke, marked a new beginning. They weren't replacing the love they had for Titan, but opening their hearts to new love, to new moments of connection, and to the healing that came with it. Taking care of Duke together helped Emily and Michael slowly move through their grief. They realized that although no one could replace Titan, the love from a different soul could help them open their hearts and welcome a new chapter into their lives. Duke showed them that life isn't always easy, but the love and care from four-legged friends can help them keep moving forward. Every day, Emily and Michael learned how to love more fully, not just because of what they received, but because of what they could give. As Duke started to get familiar with the house, those moments brought new hope to Emily and Michael. The walks in the park with Duke, though not replacing Titan, still brought them joy and a sense of peace they had been missing for so long. Watching Duke run in the park, his old eyes bright and his tail wagging happily, truly eased their hearts after the long days of sorrow. They understood that although no one could replace Titan, Duke brought a gentle presence that was the comfort and healing they needed. Duke wasn't Titan. He didn't have the agility or strength that Titan had, but Duke had a gentleness and calmness they hadn't felt before. Every morning, though he walked slowly, seeing Duke wake up and move around the house gave Emily and Michael a sense of peace, a quiet reassurance they needed after their loss. Duke didn't need to do anything grand. Just being there in those still moments was enough for them to feel that they were no longer alone. They started spending more time caring for Duke, teaching him new routines. Duke wasn't the playful pup that Titan had been, but that didn't matter. Michael and Emily made sure the older dog felt safe in his new home. They took time to teach him how to walk gently, get comfortable with his new bed, and navigate the stairs without struggle. While Duke didn't move as quickly as Titan, the patience and love they had for him made their bond stronger each day. Gradually, the love Emily and Michael had for Duke grew. Every day, despite facing new challenges, they felt an ever-deepening connection with him. It wasn't about replacing Titan. It was about learning to love a new dog and finding a way for him to feel the same love and comfort they had shared with Titan. Emily and Michael didn't expect anything from Duke. They just wanted him to feel comfortable and loved, just as they had loved Titan for all those years. Emily realized that while Duke wasn't Titan, this dog was helping them open their hearts and continue to love fully, just as Titan had taught them. Duke was showing them a new way to understand love and loyalty. Emily knew that love wasn't about replacing, It was about carrying on. Duke was an important part of their healing journey. Every time the dog ran around the yard, every time he sat beside them as they did chores, these were the important moments that helped Emily and Michael keep moving forward. The gentle moments with Duke, the times he happily ran around the yard, brought them joy and comfort after all the sadness. They both smiled as they watched Duke, who no longer had the strength he once did, but still ran, wagging his tail, and played. That reminded them that life goes on, and despite the losses, love always finds a way back. Every time Emily saw Duke chasing shadows in the yard, she felt a tiny spark of hope slip into her heart. They couldn't change the past, but they could create new memories with Duke, continue moving through the days ahead, holding on to the love and sacrifices Titan had taught them. Duke showed them that love knows no boundaries. Even though Titan was no longer with them, the love they had for that dog would never disappear. It continued to be expressed through their love for Duke, through the care, patience, and loyalty that this new dog brought into their lives. And that's how they moved forward, learning from Titan's unconditional love while embracing new love from Duke, slowly healing their hearts, one step at a time. Duke, although not a replacement for Titan, helped Emily and Michael heal the wounds in their hearts. Each day with Duke was a step on the path of love, leaving beautiful and precious marks on their next journey in life. The love Duke brought wasn't just a replacement, but a hopeful continuation, a source of comfort. Though the memories of Titan would forever remain in their minds, they had started learning how to love again, opening their hearts to the good things life still had to offer. After adopting Duke, things didn't fall into place immediately. The sense of loss for Titan still lingered in their hearts, but little by little, they realized that love wasn't something to be replaced, it was something to continue. Though they couldn't erase the pain of their loss, Duke brought them moments of peace and joy they'd been missing all this time. The first day Duke walked into their home, Emily and Michael immediately noticed the difference. This elderly golden retriever, though slow, with weak legs and movements no longer as spry as Titan's, had eyes that calmed their hearts. Duke wasn't trying to replace Titan, no dog could. But he helped them realize that love isn't about replacing, it's about continuing. It was a new love, a new connection, a new journey they would take together with Duke. The first moments with Duke were filled with uncertainty. He couldn't run or jump like Titan, but there was a peacefulness, a gentleness that they felt was necessary during this time. He wasn't in a rush, every step of his slow but steady. Emily and Michael spent more time caring for Duke, teaching him new habits. They helped Duke get used to the house rules, from short walks in the park to learning how to live in a new family. In the early days, Duke was cautious of everything around him. Little by little, the dog began to find his place in the new home. Although Duke couldn't replace Titan, the love they had for him grew more each day. Emily felt peace when she saw Duke lying beside her every morning, his eyes looking at her with gratitude and silent loyalty. Despite being older and weaker, Duke still tried his best to bring joy to the family, not through energy or games like Titan, but through his quiet presence and warmth. Duke didn't need to do anything big. Just sitting next to Emily, nudging her gently when she pet him, was enough for her to feel the love he brought. It was the care and love Emily and Michael gave to Duke that helped heal the wounds in their hearts. The slow walks in the park with Duke and the times he lay beside them as they read brought them a new sense of peace. Both of them realized that even though no one could replace Titan, the love they had for Duke was growing, and it was a step in the healing process and loss. They understood that opening their hearts to Duke was more than just bringing a new dog into their home. It was about healing, growing, and rediscovering how to love again, not by replacing what they lost, but by embracing what life had to offer in a new form. Every morning, as they watched Duke quietly sit by the window, his gentle eyes gazing out at the world as if waiting for a new day, Emily and Michael found comfort in his calm presence. Duke didn't need to do anything spectacular to make them feel loved. His presence alone was enough to fill the empty spaces left by Titan. It was a quiet love, soft, steady, and healing. The walks in the park, though different from the playful runs with Titan, were still moments of connection and peace. Duke walked slowly, but there was a sense of patience and determination in each step, as if each movement was an effort to share the joy of the moment with them. He wasn't in a rush, but every time he looked up at them with his bright eyes, it felt like a reminder that life, though slower, could still be beautiful and meaningful. Duke was becoming a part of their everyday life, not by replacing Titan, but by offering something new, a different kind of love. They began to realize that every dog has its own way of giving love. Where Titan's energy had been infectious, Duke's calmness was soothing. They learned to appreciate the simplicity of sitting together, enjoying each other's presence in quiet moments, without the need for constant motion or excitement. At mealtime, Duke was always there, sitting patiently by their side, his eyes full of warmth and affection. He wasn't demanding or impatient. He simply wanted to be near them, to share in the routine of life. In those small, everyday moments, they felt a new kind of connection, a gentle reminder that love doesn't need to be loud or grand to be real. And so, day by day, Emily and Michael grew closer to Duke. They weren't trying to replace Titan. They were learning how to love him for who he was, an individual with his own spirit, quirks, and needs. Duke had his own way of showing affection, and it was exactly what they needed during this time. He wasn't fast or playful like Titan, but his steadiness and quiet companionship were a kind of healing they didn't know they needed. Each time Duke lay next to them, whether they were reading or just sitting quietly, it felt like a small piece of their hearts, once broken, was being healed. Emily realized that it wasn't about comparing the two dogs or trying to find the same love they had with Titan. It was about accepting Duke's love as it was and opening themselves up to the future, knowing that love could come in different forms, each as meaningful as the last. Emily and Michael understood that opening their hearts to Duke was their way of honoring Titan's memory, of continuing to love even after loss. It wasn't about forgetting. It was about healing and growing, one day at a time. And in Duke, they found a new love, quiet, calm, and exactly what they needed. Every time Emily saw Duke chasing a shadow in the yard, she felt a tiny spark of hope growing in her heart. They couldn't change the past, but they could create new memories with Duke, continuing through the days ahead, holding on to the love and sacrifice Titan had taught them. Duke taught them an important lesson. Love is about patience and openness. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be sincere. Duke became an important part of their family, and his presence helped them continue living with the love Titan left behind. While losing Titan was a huge loss, with Duke's help, Emily and Michael slowly started healing the wounds in their hearts. The first few days weren't easy. The absence of Titan still weighed heavily on them. But when they looked into Duke's gentle eyes, they realized that this dog could bring them comfort they hadn't expected. Every time Duke happily ran around the garden, even though his steps weren't as fast as Titan's, his bright eyes and gentle wagging tail brought them moments of peace. It felt like a small light in the dark, just enough to remind them that joy and happiness could still exist in their lives, even without Titan. Those small, precious moments, like when Duke lay quietly next to them when they needed a moment of peace, slowly eased their hearts. The long days without the sound of Titan's tail wagging to greet them were still hard, but the moments spent with Duke, sitting together in the living room or walking in the park, brought them a comfort that didn't always need to be spoken. They realized that the love and care they gave to Duke wasn't replacing Titan, but continuing the love and loyalty Titan had shown them. Duke wasn't Titan, but this dog had his own way of loving them, a gentle, calming love they needed right now. Emily and Michael weren't trying to replace Titan. They just wanted to live fully with Duke's love. Every time they looked into Duke's loving eyes, they felt the patience and loyalty he brought to their lives, like a precious gift. Although sometimes they felt a sense of loss for the old moments with Titan, Emily and Michael knew they had to open their hearts to a new life with Duke. The mornings when Duke woke up, though not greeted with Titan's tail wagging, still saw Duke sitting next to the window, gazing outside with gentle eyes. The moments of walking in the park, though Duke didn't run like Titan, still made them feel the continuation of the love Titan left behind. Emily and Michael felt a new peace in their lives. While the pain of losing Titan couldn't be erased, they slowly realized that life was still moving forward, and they could still find new joy. The love for Duke didn't diminish the love for Titan. Instead, it helped them grow and continue loving more completely. The moments with Duke, even simple ones like sitting in the garden or walking around the block, gradually brought them healing, making them feel like their family was complete again. With deep understanding of love and sacrifice, Emily and Michael began to feel that they weren't just accepting a new friend. They were embarking on a healing journey. Duke, while not replacing Titan, helped them find hope and comfort, opening their hearts to a new life and the lessons of unconditional love and sacrifice that they would carry with them forever. They felt that they would always remember Titan, but they would also continue living with the values Titan taught them. They understood that unconditional love isn't something that can be replaced. It's something that stays forever in their hearts. Although Titan's departure left a big gap, Emily and Michael knew that the love they'd shared with him would never fade. Every time Emily and Michael looked at Duke, they knew that even though Titan was no longer by their side, the love Titan gave them would live on and guide them through every challenge. Duke wasn't there to replace Titan, but to continue the legacy of love and loyalty that had shaped their lives. Each day, as Duke woke up and walked around the house, his eyes full of affection reminded them that love could continue, even though the past would never be forgotten. Emily and Michael realized that, though their journey with Titan had ended, their journey with Duke was just beginning. Duke didn't replace Titan, but brought them hope and healing. They continued to teach Duke about love and care, all while learning from the lessons Titan had left behind, lessons of loyalty, sacrifice, and unconditional love. Duke became the new friend in their family, and slowly Emily and Michael felt that the love and connection they found with Duke would help them overcome any obstacles, continuing to live and love as Titan had taught them. Whether it was walking in the park or sitting together on quiet evenings, every moment with Duke warmed their hearts. In the end, Emily and Michael understood that love wasn't about replacing. It was about continuing the values that Titan had instilled, continuing the lessons of loyalty and sacrifice. Even though Titan wasn't there, they would always carry forward the unconditional love he had taught them. As this chapter of their journey came to a close, Emily and Michael understood that love and loyalty had no limits. While they had lost a loyal friend like Titan, they had learned how to open their hearts to a new love and continue living fully. Duke, though never replacing Titan, gave them the chance to heal and love again. This story isn't just about adopting a new dog. It's about accepting unconditional love and sacrifice into their lives. The love that Titan taught them would live on in their hearts forever, and their journey with Duke would stand as proof of the power of loyalty and unconditional love. The moments with Duke offered comfort and healing, helping them move forward with renewed faith in life. So, what part of this story touched you the most? Was it the moments with Titan, or the journey of Emily and Michael with Duke? We'd love to hear your thoughts.